Hey guys, this is Mrs. Still. I'm going to show you a few ways to edit your photos in Snapseed today. First thing that we need to do is go into the Snapseed app. And I already have this cute little picture of my daughter and this sweet little salamander that she caught in here because I was playing with it before I started this video. So it just shows up with the last thing that you were working on. Normally you would go up to the upper left hand corner and hit open, and then you would choose which app you want to get your pictures from. I always go to my Google Photos, and then you could go through and choose whatever you want. However, I don't need to do that, so I'm going to go back here. And the other thing you can do is you can go to the photo from whatever app you're in, and you can then share the photo to Snapseed. So either way works. Let's get started here. The first thing I normally do is I go to looks. And these are your filters. And you can click on any one that you want and see, what looks good. I don't like using those because I like to do my own edits. So I generally will, go through just straight to the tools. So let's go to tools. Let's go to tune image. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to show you. Now, once in tune image, if I swipe up, I will have all these different options. And I can just go up or down and then stop on whichever one I want. And then you'll see at the top, it shows the option that I'm on. Right now I'm on ambiance. I'm going to go back down to brightness just because I want to start at the beginning. With brightness, what you'll do is you'll swipe to the right or to the left. You can see when I swipe to the right, brightness goes up all the way. It's going to brighten the entire picture. And when I go all the way to the left, it darkens the entire picture. I want to brighten it a lot because her face looked very shadowy to begin with, and we wanted to have more brightness throughout the entire picture. Maybe not completely at 100, however, maybe we'll just leave it at like 91. That looks all right. Next, I'm going to swipe up again and stop on contrast. And what contrast will do is it's going to increase the difference or decrease the difference between the lights and the darks in the photo. So if I swipe all the way to the right, what that's done is it's now increased the light parts of the photo and also the dark parts of the photo. So now we have like this really contrasty black and white, black versus white going on. And we don't want that because it was already super contrasty to begin with. If I go all the way down to the left, now it looks kind of flat. Okay, it looks a little like gray. I don't want that either. So I'm going to leave it probably in the negative, maybe at about 27. And that looks pretty good to me. Next, I'm going to go to saturation. Saturation is the amount of color within the photo. Now, this already has plenty of color in it. If I wanted to bring up the saturation, I might just do a little bit. But I want to show you what happens when you bring it up all the way. Okay, if I swipe all the way to the right, we now have a super saturated picture. This is like full of color, too much color. If I go all the way to the left, we now have zero saturation. We have a black and white photo. There's no color. I'm going to bring it up to maybe about a 7. Just increase it just a little. It's always nice to increase the saturation just a little bit to bring those colors out. Next, we're going to go to ambiance. And ambiance is going to change the contrast in the highlights and lowlights, and it's going to kind of balance out the way that the light hits those areas. If I go up all the way, you can see that those darker parts of her face, those shadowy parts, are brightened. And if I go down, they're darkened quite a bit, and now I can't see hardly anything. So I'm going to bring it up somewhat. Leave it maybe in the middle range there, about 42. And every picture will be different, but this is just for this one. Next, we're going to go to highlights. And what this will do is it's going to either brighten or lighten the areas that are the brightest or lightest to begin with, or darken them. So only the parts that are the lightest are going to be changed. So you can see when I go all the way up, what happens. If I go all the way down, what happens. I'm going to leave those highlights increased slightly. And then I'm going to go to shadows. Now, again, this is only going to adjust the darker parts of the picture. So anything that is considered a shadow. If I go up, we see the shadows kind of go away, and that looks a little weird and fake. I don't like the way that looks. If we go all the way down, oops, not that. If we go all the way down, it's going to make the picture completely look crazy. So maybe we just bring those shadows up slightly so that they're not as dark. We keep it in the positive at about a plus 29. Next and last on the Tune Image tool, we have warmth. And warmth is going to refer to warm colors versus cool colors. So if we swipe all the way to the right, it's going to increase the warmth or the reds, yellows, and oranges in the picture. If I swipe all the way down to the left, it's going to change that to a cool palette, and it shows the blues and purples and greens, which I don't want to show in this photo. I like the way that it looked before, where she looked like she was out in the sun. So I'm going to leave the warmth up. Maybe I'll add just a +5 there. I'm going to go ahead and hit my check mark to save all those changes. And then the next thing I wanted to go and show you is the vignette tool. And what the vignette will do is it kind of makes a little fuzzy frame around the outer edge of the picture. I can adjust how much of the picture I want that vignette to cover. But first I want to show you, if I just swipe all the way to the right, you can see there's kind of a white glow around the outside edge. If I swipe all the way to the left, there's a darker area around the outside edge. I want to do the darker one. And what I want to show you is if you pinch the picture, it's going to bring that area in. And so then if I go up, right, it's going to cover all of that. If I go down, it's going to cover all that. I want to bring this out like this. And it's just going to be kind of slight. We don't need to go crazy with it. I'm going to go ahead and hit my check mark here. Now, one of the other things I wanted to show you is the selective tool. And the selective tool is the coolest tool, I think, in this whole app, because it allows you to select certain areas that you want to adjust. Now, if I tap anywhere on here, I'm going to go ahead and tap right here on her head. And then I'm going to show you that if by pinching or widening with my fingers, right, my forefinger and my thumb, I can increase the area that I'm selecting. Now, by swiping up or down, I can go to contrast, brightness, saturation, or structure. And that allows me, whatever I stop on, to then adjust that, and it'll only adjust it within that area. So now that I've chosen that little area there, okay, whatever's in the red, and I'm going to swipe right, it's only going to brighten that area or darken that area. I want it brighter. Now what I'm going to do is go back, and this time I'm going to zoom in on her eye. And I'm going to go back to my tools, to selective, and I'm going to just select her eye. You can move it around, whatever you want to do. I wanted it to stop right there in the middle of her eye, and I'm going to bring my selection in just so it's in her eye. I'm going to swipe right to increase that brightness. Now I don't want it to look fake, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that brightness at 34. I'm going to hit my check mark to save that. And then you can see the difference between her right eye and her left eye. The right one's slightly brighter. I'm going to go to the other eye, and I'm going to select that one and bring the selection in just so it's in the eye. Just keep pinching and pinching and pinching, and then bring it up just a little bit and hit the check mark. Okay, now her eyes match. They look pretty good. The other thing I could do is I could zoom in on this salamander, and I could select him and maybe brighten him up just a little, because he looks a little dark and I can't see all the details there. So I'm going to brighten him a little bit too. Now, if this was something I was going to, turn in, I might work on it a little bit more and do a few more changes to it. Another tool I could show you is the healing tool, but we'll save that for another time. And what that would do is it would allow us to cover up this hair that's kind of covering, here between her eye and her nose. The healing tool is a little weird to use. You can play with it, but I will definitely show you how to use it and use it successfully in another video. For now, that's all I'm going to show you. I hope that was helpful, and have fun editing your photos. Until next time.